ready to master the waves of medical device product development? Well, wax up your surfboard because you are listening to Inspired by Imua. And here is your medical device product development expert, that Hawaiian-hearted hostess who will help you hang 10, Meghan Alonso.
And aloha! You're listening to Inspired by Imua, where we help you master the waves of medical product development. Each week, we interview guests that educate, guide, and inspire to give you and your product the skills you need to hang 10. If this is your first time listening, Imua is spelled I-M-U-A, and it's a Hawaiian word. It means to advance forward with passion despite rough waves. There are plenty of those in medical device development, but keep listening because we've got you covered. So I've got a great opportunity for you to go from idea to fundable business, or if you've been struggling winning those pitch competitions, I've got the solution. Check out Invention Idea to Profitable Product. It's a 100-day program that walks you through everything you need to know step by step to get on your feet and start winning cash. All right, so we'll get into the episode today. From Force Recon Marine to successful Fortune 500 career, as if that wasn't enough, then turning into an entrepreneur launching computer and software companies, our guest today is focusing that strength and work ethic into a philanthropic mission aimed at saving lives. Plus, doctors expected him to die 3 years ago. Meet Bill Vick, who's ready to hang 10 with us. So Bill, I gave you that awesome introduction. So give us a little bit more detail, fill in the gaps for us.
Well, that kind of touches, I think, on my professional life, but my life, like many lives, changed. Mine changed about 6 years ago. I was training for a triathlon, a short course triathlon in Athens, Texas, and doing great. And keep in mind, I'm an age competitor athlete. At that time, I was 73. I'm now 79. So here I am. Every day I'm going out hitting the track and knocking out my 5, 6, 7 miles a day. I'm swimming, I'm biking, all that good stuff. So my swim times started to decrease and my training dropped. I went down from doing 4,000-yard workouts a couple times a week to 3,000 yards, and finally came to 2,000 yards. So I got worried about my time. Then I was going to my doctor, and he kind of prodded and prod and tapped and everything else. I don't know what's wrong. He said something's there, but I can't tell. He was a GP. So he referred me to a pulmonologist. I went to the pulmonologist, and they did what's called a high-resolution CT scan that gives a nice snapshot of your lungs. And he came back and said, you got IPF. And it was one of those galvanizing moments in life because I had never heard of that before. What's that? Mm-hmm. And my wife and I were in the little kind of a waiting room. And he sticks his head in the door and says, well, Mr. Vick, we got your test back, your scans. I said, great. What's the deal? He said, well, you have a lung disease called IPF. I said, oh, okay. What does it mean? Well, it means you're going to die in 2 years. I said, what? My poor wife, sheet white, almost falls off the chair on the floor because we've just been
wow.
Night and the movie this weekend. So I said, well, what do I do? And he made this classic statement that I heard again and again and again. He says, well, he said, you can do anything you want to do. There's nothing we can do. There's no treatment. There's no drug. There's no cure. Once you get it, you die. It's just a matter of time. I said, well, what should I do? He says, well, if I were you, I'd go home and get my affairs in order. So I went home and trained for a 5K. I think it points out life. Uh-huh. When I got this diagnosis, I had a choice of how to live and what to do. And my choice was to live and squeeze each day till it screams for mercy, which I've done for the last 6 years. So technically, I'm at this point in time about 3.5 years past my expiration date.
That's amazing. And I'm so grateful for that. And when we were offline, you gave me an amazing quote. So dying is easy, living is hard. Expand on that a little bit.
Well, I think it's true. Right? I think part of the problem is, we're born dying. We're all dying at some stage. And the problem with pulmonary fibrosis, and again, it comes back to, I think, a core philosophy that your life is the sum of the choices you make. And you can make a choice to live, or you can make a choice not to live. It's your choice. When many pulmonary fibrosis patients, when they're first diagnosed, they don't make the choice to live. They make the choice to kind of coast and eventually die. And they do. And in my 6 years since diagnosis, as an example, I've witnessed 250,000 people die from pulmonary fibrosis. Every year, 48,000 people die. Every year, another 42,000 people join the club that nobody should join. Mm-hmm. And I've watched this happen now for 6 years. And during that 6 years, there have been some positive strides. There's a couple of drugs now that slow it down. Don't stop it, don't cure it. They slow it down. They're ridiculously, obscenely expensive, but they're there. I give a hat tip to the companies that created those drugs. That's a huge investment, a huge risk that they've done that. And each patient is thankful for that. But the problem with living versus dying, it's choices. And my life is still sweet and wonderful and good. And hey, I can't knock out those 5-minute miles anymore. But that's okay. For me, I can walk pretty quick. I do. I intend to enter more 5Ks. I'm not stopping that. I still work out. Went to the gym today and did my whole lifting routine. So I'm living a full life. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of it. Why life can be what you make it, and it can be sweet and wonderful and good, even though it might change and have a different reality.
So speaking of life is what you make it, what are you doing to change healthcare?
Well, several things. I think the number one thing is I've been very, very fortunate to be part of a group called Three Lakes Partners. And I'll give you kind of a 20,000-foot view of how it came into being. It's very interesting. There was a man I don't want to know his name, please, but lives north of Chicago, formed a company, became very, very successful. He formed actually a total of about 40 different companies. Multi-billionaire. Family is wealthy beyond comparison. They have a lot of money. His wife, the matriarch of the family, came down with pulmonary fibrosis 6 years ago. Last year she died. And she died a horrible death, because dying from pulmonary fibrosis is like being waterboarded. Mm-hmm. Trying until your heart stops. And she went through that terrible, terrible death, and the family was with her. So they made a commitment at that time to do whatever they had to do with whatever resources it needed to find a way for patients to live better and eventually find a cure. They put together an organization called Three Lakes Partners, 3 people. That organization started out by going to Matter in Chicago, which is kind of like a health industry startup den, I guess, is the way to describe it. I'm not sure how to describe it, but they do all kinds of wonderful events, and they start a lot of little companies that become big companies in the Chicago area. They brought together what's called the Catalyst Challenge. The Catalyst Challenge is money that's being spent by Three Lakes Partners to reward those people that come forward with solutions. For example, the initial Catalyst Challenge is $1 million that will be split between 3 ideas. Those ideas are those things that can help patients live better. One of the focuses is oxygen. And you think to yourself, well, gee, oxygen is so simple. You get a tank and you get a hose, you breathe it. Well, not quite that easy. I'll give you an example. I'll give you my example. If I want to take my oxygen, turn it up or down based on my needs or demand, I have to physically get up, walk across the house, go to my tank, and adjust it. Well, that by itself, I've reduced my oxygen level by that walk, and then I have to walk back and sit down again wherever I'm at in the house or wherever it's at. And that's so simple to have. Wouldn't it be nice to have a phone app or a TV tuner kind of a thing? You can click a button and adjust that flow up or down. We have our DVDs we can program for any place in the world. You can have all your house wired together on Nest-like objects and turn lights on and off, and turn your earth and turn on and off. You can't turn your oxygen up or down because nobody's come forward with that idea. So what they're doing in the IPF Catalyst Challenge is they're going to be paying people to come up with those ideas that can be implemented and brought to fruition. Simple things that you take for granted. And that I'm going to call it a variable flow rate is just one of many, many, many ideas that are needed in this field.
Yeah.
There's a problem. Wheelchairs are a problem. Carrying bags, like I have a liquid oxygen container. It only weighs 6 pounds. But when I go to the gym, it's awkward because the bags made for them aren't designed for people like me that are active. They're really designed to cart the bag from point A to point B, normally from your house to your car, and that's pretty much it. Well, here I am trying to do pull-ups with a bag that's flopping all over my back, and it's awkward. I can't sit down and do curls because the tubes get all tangled up in the dumbbells or barbells, whatever I'm using. Well, can't somebody find a solution for that? I'm sure they can. So we want to pay them. When I say we, I'm part of that only from the standpoint that I'm going to say I'm the token patient. I'm a patient and part of that collective. They've also brought together 25 of the leading authorities in the world, worldwide, to find the other solution for this, which is a cure. And they're funding various companies that are doing stem cell research, gene research, a lot of things that are happening in that front. And they're on the very cusp of it. So what I'm helping them do what needs to be done for the patient community in the world, not just the United States, worldwide.
So if people want to know more about this, where can they go?
A couple of sources. They can go to the Catalyst website, which is the URL for it is challenge.catalyst.org, or they can go to freelakespartners.org, which is the funding organization, which has links to it and tells you a little bit more about who the people are and what their mission is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then is the challenge, is this a virtual thing, or will this culminate in an in-person event? Like, can people go to it?
Yes, both. It's both virtual to enter, and then it will be a physical event. And they've gotten, as you can imagine, hundreds and hundreds of submittals of things that people want to do, ideas they want to bring forth. Well, they're sifting now through those and selecting finalists. There's 2 panels of judges. One is selecting those things from that greater number and boiling it down in a small group that can be analyzing closely the winners, and then there'll be the winners brought to a presentation. I'm not sure where that's going to happen. My guess is it will probably happen in Chicago at the Matter headquarters, but I'm not certain. And that's going to take place in January.
Oh, great. Okay, so we'll have to stay tuned. I'll stay in touch with you and give information about that. Once all the details are worked out, then we'll direct people where to go, even if it's just to go support and just to be a part of that excitement.
Well, it's a double, I think it's not a double, it's a triple thing, actually. It's kind of a trifecta. The company that comes and enters them, just by doing that, they're going to be doing good for people. But they have the opportunity to do better by winning an award or a prize. But even beyond that, they can do even better by having a product that goes in this marketplace. Because this marketplace it's like somebody once told me the fastest way to expand your business is to expand in a vacuum where nothing exists. And that is true here. Nothing exists. There's nobody doing these simple ideas and things. And the demand for the marketplace is huge. You have, for example, there's 2.3 million people in the U.S. using oxygen. There's 15 million people that have COPD. There's 132,000 that have pulmonary fibrosis, which is my disease. That's a huge market opportunity. Nobody, for whatever reason, has had the common sense to think about it and address those marketplaces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. So, Bill, you've been around businesses for quite a while, and I know that you have some really helpful insight. What's the one thing that medtech entrepreneurs or startups don't know that they need to know?
I think there's probably a lot of things that you need to know. I wish if I had all those things in a list, I'd be rich. I'm not. But I think there's some obvious things that a business has to do, regardless of what its niche is or its focus. And it's kind of like the basic blocking and tackling. I think too many people that I see in today's world have a great idea, but they don't really think through the customer. I'll give you an example of a little company that I'm aware of only because they're in my marketplace are in the IPF marketplace. And they're an Irish company. And the company's name is Patient Empower. And I was interested in what they're doing because they provide all kinds of really cool ways to gather information for testing for patients like me. So I called up and I had an appointment to talk to their president, the CEO of the company. And we had a scheduled call. We're going to do a Skype call. And so I was going to do it at 8 o'clock my time. I'm not sure what time that'll be in Ireland. My guess is 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm there and I'm waiting. He's not there. And 15 minutes goes by and 30 minutes goes by. And finally he gets on the line. He says, hey, he's kind of out of breath. I can tell you've been running. He said, I'm really sorry. He said, I'm in my car calling on my phone. I need to get back to my office in time. I said, oh, well, some things happen. He said, yeah. He says, I had to spend time with a patient. And I stopped and said, what do you mean? He says, well, the way we develop our products is we go out and talk to the users.
Yeah, that's great.
I myself, how innovative. They listen to the customer and they design the product based on needs and requirements. Mm-hmm. Isn't that a nice, refreshing attitude? So the problem I see with many, many people that are designing things in the medtech area is they've forgotten the customer, who uses it, who buys it, who wants it, who needs it. And they don't have a way to integrate with that customer or learn from them because customers, patients, are people first and foremost, patients second. And we as a society, we have forgotten that. Doctors have forgotten that. And patients themselves have forgotten they're people first. And people have a variety of ideas. And I think the biggest gap that I see with companies that are coming into the medtech area, they have great ideas. They're a bunch of really smart people with a lot of innovation, but they forgot they're selling something to a person that buys it or demands it or needs it. Mm-hmm. Forgotten that simple equation. It's like my father used to have all these wonderful, an old-time sales guy, very successful in what he did. He said, it's like, if you're going to go fishing, he says, always go where the fish are. Common sense, but smart. That's one of the sayings. The other saying was, no matter what you're selling, ask somebody what they want to buy and then sell it to them. It's the same thing, I think, in medtech. I think that many people have forgotten that common thing of the customer, the person, the user.
Yeah, I think so too. And I cover this in my virtual MedTech Accelerator program, Invention Idea to Profitable Product, if you guys want to learn more about that. And I've walked through a step-by-step process on what you can do. So, Bill, what do you see as rough waves or big obstacles in our industry, and how can entrepreneurs and startups overcome those?
You mean taking out of the equation the federal government in Washington, D.C., taking that out of the equation? I think there's a lot of problems that we're facing that can be solved by some smart people with common sense. Jumping through the hoops of the FDA, which I'm convinced means funny damn attitude. I think getting through that quagmire of the minutia and the systems and the processes and the delays, it drives me crazy because I see drug companies in particular, where I'm closer to that area than probably anything else, the hoops that they have to jump through for compliance. I'll give you a great example, and it kind of points out the problem. Part of what I did as a patient is called a patient ambassador. I did this for Genentech, which is a large biotech pharmaceutical company. They have one of the drugs that slows down the progression of IPF. That's where I know them from, because I was taking their drug. So I was recruited by them to become a patient ambassador. And what I did is I actually gave testament to being a patient internal to their organization. Now, this is what's interesting. So the first presentation I did, which was kind of my trial, if you will, was to the training group. And it was about 20 people. And they comprised the training group for this division or this franchise within the Genentech organization. Then I did well, so they brought me back. And I now address their sales and marketing team. That was 125 people. It was their national meeting for that in that franchise.
Yeah, that's great.
They asked me back one more time for the compliance division. Now, we had, 20-some people in training, 120-some people in sales. How many people do you think they had in compliance? 600.
Oh my gosh.
That's the crux of the problem. Uh-huh. Companies are spending so much time, resources, and money covering their fannies They can't get out of their own way to accomplish things. And that's part of the problem. So what I'd change if I could is that whole dynamic of being so concerned about not dotting your I's and crossing your T's that you fail to write the letter. It's that kind of a thing. And I think it's a huge problem. Huge problem.
That's really interesting. And I'm shocked actually at 600.
Yep. Compared to 120. 123 people sell it, market it.
Yeah.
Make sure that no one's saying the wrong thing and doing the wrong thing.
Wow.
Owners and actuaries and lawyers. Yeah. But they're not alone. This is true of every large biotech company. There's a huge emphasis on what they can and can't do. When I was making, I'll share this kind of a funny true story. When I was making my presentations around the country, is a kind of a testament to the drug. I think the drug is a wonderful thing, and it's a wonderful company. I mean, they really are. But somebody asked a question. I had been instructed never to answer a question. Well, I didn't pay attention, and they asked a question, and they said, "Do you take any supplements?" I said, "Sure," and I answered it. Well, the next presentation I did, there was a vice president from compliance, a vice president of sales and marketing, and another person who did bookings and training to watch my presentation to make sure I didn't say the wrong thing again.
Oh, gosh.
Wasn't that interesting? To me, it was very interesting because of the compliance factor. This thing that I don't know what the answer is, Megan. I wish I had the solution of how to get around that stuff.
Yeah.
It happened with people and processes, and somebody's got to stand up for it. And everyone's afraid to talk about it because they're afraid they're going to get the wrist slapped. And all of a sudden, the FDA jumps down their throat, and their drug is taken off the market, which is a threat that is real. I mean, it's real. If I was making a presentation on the behalf of Genentech, which I was doing, technically I'm an agent. So if I say something that's outside of compliance and the FDA gets wind of it and angry about it, they could say, okay, your drug's off the market. Think of that multi-billion-dollar investment being threatened because of one person saying one thing innocently.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, guys, hang in there in that ocean of innovation. We'll be right back to Bill's best advice after a word from our sponsors. Okay, so we've heard Bill talk about this challenge. Are you ready to pitch now? Do you know what investors are looking for? My program, Invention Idea to Profitable Product, covers everything you need to know to craft the perfect pitch. Visit imua-services.com/IIPP for details. All right, Bill, what's the best advice you can give medtech entrepreneurs?
That's a tough question.
I got some doozies for you today.
It's a good question. I wish I had an answer there that people would seize on and put in practice. I think I'm a pretty practical guy, and I don't get befuddled by the mystery of marketing and the wonder of sales and innovation. And I think there's a lot of really smart people that will listen to this and understand the problem far better than I ever could. I think we have to step back sometimes and simplify things and just look at them from a common perspective. Sometimes we take simple things and make them complex when they don't need to be.
I do that.
I think if I was going to give one word of advice to anybody, it's that old Fisk philosophy of keep it simple, stupid, is don't get trapped into the complexity, but look for the simplicity.
I love it. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. What's the best book that you recommend and why?
I think there's a lot of new books that are really kind of cool and neat and exciting, but I go back to old standards. The most recent one I read, by the way, was a wonderful book of a speech that an admiral, a former SEAL, spent 35 years as a SEAL, wrote about, made it at UT South in Texas, University of Texas in Austin. And, it was called Make Your Bed, essentially, and he gave his thoughts about life. The most recent book I read. But I think the best book, personally, I ever read, there's a book that changed my life. It's an oldie goldie called Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, it's such a good one. Did you know that there's a movie? They made a movie about it. It's coming out this fall.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea. But that book, it changed my life. Because I'm an old dog, okay? I was in Vero Beach, Florida. I had a skin diving school.
I like Vero Beach.
Great.
Yeah.
Skin diving school. And they take people over to the Bahamas and all that kind of stuff. And I was destined to become a beach bum. That's where I was kind of headed. And I got a copy of the book, and I read it, and it made sense. And I read it again, and I read it again.
Good.
I read it one more time. And the next day, I quit that, went to school, went to college, went off into marketing in California.
Wow.
The book changed my life.
Yeah, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So I'll link to that in the show notes. And so, Bill, what's the best way to get in touch with you, and a favorite quote if you have one?
Well, the best way is really easy, I guess. If you Google me, you'll find more about me than you'd ever want to know in 2 lifetimes. Bill Vick. But my email is bill@billvick.com. And my phone number is 972-612-8425. And 8425 will translate to BICK in your touchstone.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I'm real fond, and I answer my emails and my phone both. And I'm pretty transparent about it. I have no agenda to hide or any bones to bury. So, but I'm accessible.
Mm-hmm.
All over the place on social media. I've got a couple of pages that are well trafficked on Facebook, which I use extensively for the patient community. LinkedIn, I do for my business. I'm all over LinkedIn as well. So I'm easy to find. I really am. As far as one quote, I wish I had something that was lucid and clear and meaningful. But I'm not sure I have something that I'd say this is the most important quote of my life, Megan. I wish I did.
Well, let's just go with "Living's Easy, Dying's Hard" by Bill Vick.
That's a good quote. It's a good truth.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being on the show today. It was a pleasure. And guys, he just gave you not only his email, but his phone number. How often do you get that? So reach out to Bill if you can think of any way to support this Catalyst Innovation Challenge, anything at all. If it's just an introduction to someone else, or if it's donating money, or if it's connecting him with a startup that you think should enter, go ahead and do that. And until the next episode, Imua. Wow. If you're like me, then you're thinking that was an amazing interview and you're inspired to go build something great. So reach out to Bill. He's given you his contact information. Check out the IPF Challenge. I will have that on the show notes page. More info on that there. And until the next episode, Imua.
Mahalo for joining us. If you're new to riding the waves of medical device product development, or if you've been in development for a while already, Inspired by Imua is here to surf with you. Want to be a master of the waves? Text HANG10, that's HANGTEN, to 44222. We'll send you the most common wipeouts companies make in product development so you can avoid them and reach master wave status. Again, that's HANG10 to 44222. We publish a new episode every Tuesday, so catch us at inspiredbyimua.com. Imua!